It's a good-looking show.
Yeah.
Come see us.
The one tune I didn't hear was Getting to Know You.
Oh, maybe that's a surprise.
Yeah, and I was thinking anyone who's gotten to know Kelli O'Hara, and as the critic for the Daily News and for past 10 years, has gotten to know you a lot. I was immersed in all things Kelli O'Hara, and she's played iconic roles. She's originated roles that have taken her from works by Frank Wildhorn, Stephen Sondheim, Marvin Hamlish, Adam Guettel, Ross and Adler, the Gershwin brothers, Rodgers and Hammerstein, Jason Robert Brown, and now back to Rodgers and Hammerstein. It's like they say life is a banquet, your career is a banquet. Does it feel that way? You look back and just think, are you exhausted hearing that or just completely, yeah?
No, I'm exhausted for some reasons, but not that. I mean, that is a gift to me. Anybody who started out in this business with a dream, to hear that just listed like that, I pinch myself. I'm grateful all the time. It never gets old.
Yeah. The King and I is your 10th Broadway show, your 6th Tony nomination for an iconic role and an iconic show. And I was curious, what did you know about Anna and The King and I before you started work on the show? And what do you know now? It's a show about a teacher and about what a teacher can impart to her students and vice versa. What have you learned?
I didn't know much. I had never seen the show. So really, in all reality, I have never seen the show still because I'm up on the stage. So I think I probably did like a lot of people. I assumed it's a Rodgers and Hammerstein musical. It's going to be very light. I should have learned my lesson because with Nellie in South Pacific, I learned how much depth there was and how groundbreaking these writers were at the time that they were writing these stories. So when I met Anna for the first time and really began to love her, it became very apparent to me how important she is, especially in 2015, not just then, 1862, and then when it was written in the 50s. She's so strong, and the impact that a teacher can have on a child, male or female, is one of the most important things in our life. And that's what she has shown me, and how strong she is, and how we're talking about gender equality, and it's very important. And so I feel relevant, and that's very important for an actor.
Right, watching the show, you think about this king who's very concerned about the optics. He doesn't want to appear to be a barbarian, and it spoke so clearly to today. Even though you're wearing gigantic hoop dresses, it still seems incredibly relevant.
Yeah, there are things about it that are in the period that they are, but people come to me every night after the show and say, I am so shocked at how relevant this seems. I mean, we have a female running for president this year. She may very well win. We watch this woman, and it's a true story. It's based on truth. Go into this kingdom, and you must remember that Siam was the only country in that area that wasn't overtaken by British or French troops because of the way the king wanted to be perceived and the way he wanted to collaborate. I mean, it's a lesson we could learn in any generation about collaborating with other countries politically. And he wanted change, he wanted education, he wanted worldly things to come into the walls of the country, which was very risky, and it paid off for him. Yeah.
This show reunites you with director Bartlett, who you worked with on The Light in the Piazza and worked with on South Pacific, 2 Lincoln Center productions, 2 incredible productions. You talked about your
Madison County as well.
Yeah, that's and not that one. You're right, Bridges of Madison County. You've talked about before working with Bartlett that you were sort of flapping around, which was an interesting image. How did he stop you from flapping, and what's the secret to your working together?
Well, talk about a teacher. I mean, this is what I'm speaking to when I talk about how you're influenced by someone, and how it's not really about someone putting you in their mold. When it's a good teacher, it's about them allowing you to find your own, so that they give you roots and then they give you wings to fly. And literally flapping around in not a grounded way. I got an education in opera. Then I came to acting school in New York, and I wasn't one of those people who just came out ready to be. I mean, I have been in graduate school and a doctoral program for the last 15 years of my life. Everything has been my upper education, and most of it has been with him as my teacher. And he is one of those people who has allowed me to find and to search and to journey. And he's been hard on me, and he's been supportive, and he's been all the things that you want with my best interests in mind. I'm certain of it. And that has been so valuable to me. I mean, it could go either way, and I got that opportunity, so I'll be forever grateful.
And let's rewind to your early days in Oklahoma, Deer Creek High School, Oklahoma City University, where you studied voice and opera specifically.
Yes.
A lot of people study voice. A lot of people study music. A lot of people don't come to New York and really pursue this really difficult career. What drove you, and what got you here?
Well, I didn't grow up with the arts. I mean, I was an athlete in school. You know, I loved sports, and I grew up on a farm in western Oklahoma. When I went to school because of this teacher. Her name's Florence Birdwell. They've done some stories on her now because she's also Kristen Chenoweth's teacher, and we're both nominated, so she's gotten a lot of wonderful attention. She was my first major mentor. She kind of opened the world up for me. She's an example of someone who might have gone to perform herself but stayed to teach, and the rest of us have become great beneficiaries of that. So she kind of showed me the world and showed me what was possible. And she was my voice teacher, but she was my life coach. She was this person who broke me down, built me back up, ripped open my heart. She was my acting teacher. She was everything. And with that, I remember the moment I decided not to continue my opera study, which disappointed her greatly. She looked at me, she took the application for the American Vocal Academy and ripped it in 3 places and said, "Move to New York. I can't hold you, I can't stop you, and that's what you want." And I did. I don't know why, but I packed my 2 suitcases with no prospects, no place to live, a couple of friends, thank God, and I got on a plane. And I think if I hadn't had that, her will and her confidence in me, I would never have tried that.
A lot of bird imagery, flapping, and Florence Birdwell.
Wings.
Yeah. Who
I
I
call her
spoke
the bird
to.
lady, yeah.
The bird lady. And although I had asked both you and Kristen what you call Mrs. Birdwell, it's always Mrs. Birdwell. Yes. She had a great story where she said one time in a studio, someone said, "Thanks, Mom." She goes, "I'm not your mother. Get out of my studio."
It's an interesting thing. She's a very, very strong woman, and I really responded to the way she taught, and a lot of kids don't. And I love it. Some of the younger students come around and they say, "Have you spoken to Florence lately?" And I'm like, "You're not one of the real ones."
No.
You call her Mrs. Birdwell, and she treats you with the same. It's kind of like the King and Anna. We went through a lot to get to a mutual respect, and I respect her enough she is my teacher. And then she says to me, "You are now mine."
Right. You mentioned stories about Florence Birdwell. I was one of those who wrote one of those stories, and during our talk, she said to me that I asked her to describe you. She said, "You're so beautiful that she makes you gasp inside." But that wasn't what she took away. What she really impressed her is that you don't rest on your laurels, and that you're always ready to tackle what you don't know. Is she right?
Oh, that's huge. Thank you. Yes. I mean, I don't know why I'm that kind of person. Maybe it's always, I like punishment or something. No, but I don't ever want to do the same things. I want to do something that scares me a little bit. It might seem I don't know what it seems like on the outside that I'm doing musicals, and maybe that's Roger and Hammerstein, but that's not how I feel about it. I feel like these are all very different people, and in that, I've grown to understand so much and to learn about people. I haven't done a lot of traveling in my life, but I've gotten to go to these places through these women that I've played, and that is that's so important to me. And she was just a ballsy. She is a ballsy, brassy, amazing woman, and I took a big chunk of that with me, and that's been hugely important to me.
I think you're a shining example of how hard work and good work leads to more good work. I remember one of the early times I laid ears and eyes on you was in 2004 at Chef's Theater, which was this kooky sort of cooking lesson plus entertainment. and Kelli was the dessert girl. I remember listening to you sing standards over creme brulee, and I much preferred you to the creme brulee. And I say that only for people out there building careers. It comes step by step. Now, at the same time, I talked to you that night, and you were preparing to do Dracula, so you had your next Broadway job. But it's a process, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, come on. I started waiting tables at the Macaroni Grill and singing opera at the tables when people around me would like plug their ears. I was doing that, and I was kind of building a thick skin. I didn't realize it was useful then, but of course it is. And then I moved here, and listen, I'll be honest, things happened for me quickly because I was an ingenue-looking person. I had the long blonde hair, I had the soprano voice. I have great friends who are 10 times better than I am, but have waited, and now it's hitting. Now when they turned in their 30s, then the character roles started to come into play. It's you can't weigh it against, talent. We start and we go where we're supposed to go. But there were challenges. There's lots of roles out there in shows that are now big famous roles that I actually had 8 callbacks for and didn't get. That's not always what we talk about. We talk about the things that we did get. But I feel very, very blessed that I have gotten the things. But I've looked at all of them as not things that I necessarily was entitled to, but the things that I was going to work my butt off to achieve and to get. I saw this as something that I had to do for myself and keep going. And I didn't move up here for nothing. I didn't move up here to fail and go home. So I had to keep going.
Roles like Anna in The King and I or Francesca in The Bridges of Madison County, which you and I have talked about way too much. I think I was sadder than anyone that it was closing.
Thank you.
But I also saw you give Shakespeare a crack. And the woman with the beautiful soprano tore into the line, let him smell his way to Dover, right?
Yes.
As Regan, kind of the nasty daughter. I spoke to Sam Watterson for a story, and he called you smart and fearless.
Thank you, Sam. I wasn't fearless. That was like another of my college educations, to sit in that room with John Douglas Thompson and Sam Watterson and these people down at the Public and listen to them bite into the language, and never have I been more hungry and interested in something. And I love the work, and I was just so happy to be there. And every night it felt like this adrenaline rush of like chewing on meat, and I loved every second of it, and I didn't sing a note, and that was such a great experience for me, and I want to do more and more. But they were great examples for me.
Yeah, smart and fearless, 2 good words to describe you. I'm going to rewind your career a little bit so we can backtrack and get some titles of the shows Kelli's been in. Give me 2 words to describe your leading men in these. Ken Watanabe in The King and I.
Fearless and exploratory. He's different every night. He's a master, and he passes a ball up there, over there, up here, down there, straight at my face, and I have to catch it. Oh. And having been an athlete, it's brilliant. It's like meat.
Matthew Morrison in The Light in the Piazza.
Charismatic and delicious. I mean, come on.
It gets better. Harry Connick Jr. in The Pajama Game.
Genius and generous.
Paulo Jott in South Pacific.
Genuine and sincere. Those are the same things, but you know what I mean. He's pure good, pure gold.
Matthew Broderick in Nice Work If You Can Get It.
Hysterical, but so delicate, so delicate. I wanted to hold Matthew Broderick in my arms forever and ever and ever. I loved him. He was just that person that it was just, I just loved him.
Even as you were wielding an air shotgun.
Totally, it was just all fake.
Stephen Pasquale, who you shared a tortured relationship with in a couple shows, Far From Heaven, in which you were married, and The Bridges of Madison County, in which you were not.
And actually we did our first Light in the Piazza out in Seattle together. Stephen. Intense and collaborative. He's a great teammate. I mean, we carried each other. I just loved working with him.
We'll go from hunks to kids. You're surrounded by them in The King and I,
Yes.
and you have two of your own, nearly 6-year-old Owen and 20-month-old Charlotte.
Yes.
And which is trickier, working with kids on stage or doing a rollicking polka in a ginormous hoop dress?
Definitely the hoop dress, but sometimes the kids are under the hoop dress, so that's a double challenge. But no, the kid working with the kids to me feels like one of the most natural things right now for me to be doing in my life. But yeah, the hoop skirt is a whole different story. Right. I'm not a lover of dresses in the first place, so.
It's a nice transition. Speaking of dresses, do you have yours for the Sunday Tony Awards? And has Anna Wintour, who I've read is doing some consulting, given you any words of wisdom?
She has. I had my fitting. I'm all done. I mean, that's the price of admission, worth it all right there, is that everything is ready to go. I was in that beautiful Vogue room that you hear about sometimes. And, you know,
Mythic.
Here are the shoes, here's the jewelry, here's the bag, here's the dress. Great. And she was there. She wanted youthful. She wanted, I'll give you one hint, is that I'm not wearing a gown. I'm wearing a T-length it has a little bit of a hoop, but it's fun. It's a play on my show and some amazing strappy Jimmy Choos. So she wanted it to be something different while being very classy. So that's how I feel what we came up with. And I'm really excited about it.
Before we open up to audience questions, I know The King and I is in that incredibly happy place, which is called an indefinite run, right?
Yeah, exactly.
As you go out each night, I'm just curious though. There's always another goal for you, as we've talked about. Are you and Bartlett sure cooking up something else, talking about it? Dream role you haven't played yet?
No, you know what? People ask me that all the time. What's your dream role? I don't have a dream role. I kind of know it when it comes, it'll come to my head something, or usually because I'm doing King and I right now, next it has to be something new. I also want to make a change. I want to do some new things for a while. Plays are always on my mind. I want to challenge myself. I want to be scared again. I want to venture into other genres of acting. I think that. And Bart and I will work together again. We're always talking about ideas. We're talking about traveling. We talk about teaching together. We talk about all sorts of fun things. Comes a time in your life when, if you're lucky, you start to want to create ideas, So I'll know it when I see it, but I'm not. That's the adventure of this business and this life. I'm just going to let it surprise me.
One last question before I ask the audience. The Tony Awards, you've been nominated 6 times. Each time, face it with the same excitement, enthusiasm?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It changes. It definitely changes every year how I feel based on the role that I'm playing or how my show is doing. Last year was a very different experience than this year for me. So it's really, there's a celebration. I'm excited. I'm excited for June 8th as well, which is the day after, because I want to get back to my show in a way that is productive and creative and singular, in that the show is the work and the people there. We create something together, and we're not, it's not a singled out situation. But I am so excited because every year that I've been, I'm so grateful to have been asked and to be invited back to the Tonys as a nominee. Every year, the thrilling adrenaline rush and excitement that is that place and those people and all the people that love this work and are artists, they come together and we see each other, and I'm really, really excited about that again,
And you'll get to perform as well.
And we get to perform.
Yeah, it's
so
great
that's
for the show.
great.
And we'll open up to questions.
Hi, Kelli.
Hi.
I've always been a big fan of your entire career, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the unique pressures in originating a role versus doing a really well-known revival like South Pacific or The King and I.
You know, people have been asking me that a lot this year. It's a great question, and it's one that I think I've figured out. I don't think I have a difference between an original role and a revival role. I don't approach it differently at all. In fact, I had never seen The King and I or the film, and so I just read the script as if I'd never seen it before, and which I hadn't. And I find the woman who and how she affects me, and otherwise I'm killing myself if I'm trying to be something else or somebody else. And there is pressure there because I know you've seen it and you have an idea about it, but I can't think about it. I just have to make her honest, and the only way to make her honest is to find out how she filters through my life and how I can put myself into her shoes. So both excite me equally. And I'll just keep looking at it that way. But I'll always welcome revivals because I think that if a show is relevant and needs to be done again, then it's useful. And originating roles is the best thing ever. So because it's scary.
Hi, Kelli.
Hi.
We so enjoyed you at Bridges of Madison County.
Thank you.
And Stephen, and we were so crushed that the show ended, and it seemed so abrupt. How do you, as an actress, deal with that, and how did that particular cast deal with that? It seemed like revenue, of course, was the driving force because the acting and the singing was just out of this world.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. There are some things that come along in your life, and it's like that whole thing. You know, it's better to love a little and then or at all than to never loved at all. Whatever. Oh, help me there. You know what? I'm always getting those things wrong, so whatever. Chalk that up to just me being Kelli. But that's how I feel about Bridges because I will never have another experience like Bridges. I had never, and I will never. So I had it. And that is the biggest thing in my life, is that I had that. I had someone write me a score that was very specific to my very specific voice. And I sang it with every ounce of my being, and I had it. And here's the thing. They said that we would close. I shed quite a few tears, and so did my cast, because we were so very, very close. And when you have a show that means a lot to you and that is worthy of something, and it does close, you get closer and closer and closer, because it's like losing something and holding each other up in the process because of that. So we will always love each other and always know each other. But when it closed, and when I heard that it would close, I shed my tears, and then I celebrated the fact that I would spend my summer with my children. And that's what I did. It was the best gift I could have ever received. So I have other things besides these things, and I have to celebrate both sides. And that's the important part for me, is to have other things. But I will never stop missing that show for the rest of my life.
So
I'll do it again, because I feel like I'll be the right age to play it when we revive it in 10 years.
It was as if 2 love affairs ended. You know,
Yeah,
that's where Francesca got to spend time with her 2 kids too.
Exactly. She stayed to take care of her kids, and I left to take care of mine. So.
You talked about doing King Lear. Do you have any dream Shakespeare roles? I'm a huge fan of Shakespeare's.
Me too. You know, I've talked a little bit about with Oscar at the Public about trying to do something. There's been a couple of things, and then one was done because I couldn't do it with someone else, and I was like, no, you know, because I was in doing King and I actually. So, or no, this was last year, so Bridges. But I don't know specifically, because as I get older, the roles change. The correct things for me will change. So where I might have wanted to do Celia and you know, As Good as It Gets or something like that, now it's going to change to something else. And so I'll just we'll see what happens when there is a time that I do one. What'll be the right thing to do? Yeah.
This question is from Periscope, and the viewers want to know, what is your absolute favorite musical role of all time?
You know, I used to say My Fair Lady because I just loved the way it all came together. But it will always be Francesca and the Bridges of Madison County for me, always.
We have time for one more question.
Hello. I'm a Broadway nerd, and I'm really excited to see the show. Just curious if there's a favorite number of yours, and if you're so inclined, if you want to sing a line for us.
Wait, say it one more time.
A favorite number of yours in the show,
Oh,
and
okay.
if you would sing a line.
I was thinking about the fact that you called yourself a Broadway nerd, and I was thinking, why don't people just say like Broadway badass? I mean, why do we have to be nerds to love Broadway? You know what I mean? Yeah. All right. I think it's pretty good. I think it's a pretty worthwhile thing. Let's see, a favorite line in the show, and what? Let me go through. For when I fool the people I fear, I fool myself as well. Because that's the truth, right? We're just faking it till we make it.
Well, I think that's a good place to stop. I can't top that. Thanks for chatting this morning, and Tony Awards on Sunday. Kelli O'Hara.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.